Hey everyone, and welcome to today's explainer. So today we're looking at a piece of text that clocks in at barely over 100 words. You definitely know it, but we're going to flip the script on the classic Babba Black Sheep nursery rhyme. We're going to treat this seemingly simple text as a surprisingly complex logistical and economic case study. We're diving right past that catchy melody to analyze the actual data provided in the source text. We're talking agricultural management, biological consistency, and wealth distribution. It's actually kind of wild when you really look at it.
Okay, let's dive into this. We'll be navigating a rigorous 5-part structure today. First, the bath time objective. Second, catching the subject. Third, the chromatic flock. Fourth, the wool economy. And finally, equitable resource distribution.
All right, Section 1, the bath time objective.
Right off the bat, the text hits us with this super clear, urgent directive. It's bath time for the sheep, but we'll have to catch them first. Now, I really want to highlight the core operational hurdle here. Hygiene is the ultimate goal, right? It's bath time. But physically apprehending the subject is a strict, unavoidable prerequisite. You literally cannot bathe a sheep you haven't caught. So immediately the text establishes this intense, fundamental tension between the outcome we want and the physical labor required to get there.
Moving on to Section 2, catching the subject. Let's look at the logistics.
If we map out the instructions from the source text, we really have to treat this like a serious tactical operation. The text explicitly demands we execute these steps in a very specific order. Step 1, catch the sheep. Step 2, bathe the sheep. And honestly, only after those operational and hygienic objectives are fully met do we unlock Step 3, sing the familiar rhyme. You absolutely cannot skip steps here. You secure the asset, you maintain the asset, and then you get to celebrate with a sing-along.
Okay, Section 3, the chromatic flock. Let's dive into the biological data.
Now, this is where it gets really fascinating. We have this massive visual anomaly of a highly diverse, multicolored flock. According to the text, we've got 4 distinct varieties of sheep: black, blue, pink, and white. But look over at the yield column. Regardless of the variety, the wool yield is universally 3 bags full. In real-world agricultural terms, having this level of absolute consistency across such a wildly diverse chromatic pool is basically unheard of. So the huge takeaway here is that we're seeing completely consistent production across incredibly diverse subjects. I really want to emphasize this, because despite distinct chromatic differences, black, blue, pink, and white, every single sheep maintains the exact same output. There's no drop in quality, no drop in quantity. That pink sheep is putting in the exact same work as the black sheep. The blue is just as productive as the white. It's just a wildly stable biological asset.
Section 4, the wool economy. Let's zoom out to the macroeconomic picture.
12. That is our magic number today. When you aggregate the data, 4 sheep yielding 3 bags each, the text is actually describing a surprisingly robust microeconomy, generating 12 total bags of wool. This isn't just some quaint little pastoral scene. This is a measurable, highly scalable agricultural enterprise. Let's just briefly recap where these 12 bags are coming from, just so we fully grasp the cumulative scale of this operation. The black sheep yields 3 bags, the blue yields 3, pink yields 3, and white yields 3. That's 4 distinct production cycles, completely maximizing their output. It's a brilliantly efficient system pumping out a huge amount of raw material.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, equitable resource distribution.
The text lays down this incredibly strict, unwavering formula for how to allocate all this wealth. 1 for the master, 1 for the dame, 1 for the little boy who lives down the lane. We really need to read this lyric not just as a fun rhyme, but explicitly as a rigid socioeconomic distribution model.
The math here is beautiful. It breaks down perfectly. A single sheep's 3-bag yield is split cleanly into equal thirds. It's a strict 1-to-1-to-1 ratio. 33.3% to the master, 33.3% to the dame, and 33.3% to the little boy. Every single time a sheep is shorn, no matter its color, this exact proportional distribution is flawlessly executed.
But we really need to look closely at who is actually getting this wool. On one side, we have this obvious social hierarchy, the wealthy. You've got the master and the dame, titles that literally scream ownership, authority, and high social standing. But then on the other side, we have the lane resident, the little boy, a title implying youth, a lack of authority, and clearly a much lower social strata. What's absolutely mind-blowing about this distribution model is that it completely ignores those class divides to achieve perfect equity. The little boy down the lane is getting the exact same market share of the wool as the master of the entire estate.
So that leaves us with one final major thought. Is the promise of 3 bags of wool worth the chase to the bath? We started this explainer by looking at the intense physical cost of agricultural management, literally having to chase down a struggling animal just to achieve baseline hygiene. But then we end up with this perfectly equitable economic reward. It's a system that consistently provides for absolutely all tiers of society equally. So what does this all mean for us? Does that beautifully equitable economy actually justify the sheer logistical nightmare of catching a blue sheep for bath time? Well, it's definitely something to chew on the next time you hear this familiar tune. Thank you so much for diving into this explainer with me today.